The question is about the market-based model envisioned under Carter and the Legal Services Bill, a model of non-specialist, commercially owned firms with few partners, few solicitors, and many, many paralegals. If young lawyers can't aspire to partnership and can't afford to specialise and take on challenging cases because of fixed fees and just have to look out for the odd pro bono job, why should we all become legal aid lawyers, and how do we encourage other people to look at a career in legal aid?
Well, this is one of my real fears about the alternative business structures, and it's one of the reasons why I've been encouraging particularly the Conservatives to oppose alternative business structures in the House of Lords. It's being debated at the moment. That is exactly the dystopia I foresee, where you have large, soulless organisations designed purely to make a profit, that have no interest in the individual clients except for how much money they can wring out of them. And the idea of client service, the idea of looking after your local community will be dead. And I can't see why any idealistic young person would want to get involved with a business of that nature. We get into this because we want to make a difference to people's lives. We know we can actually use our skills, the benefits that we've been given, to help other people who haven't had those benefits. You can't do that through the alternative business structures, where it's a commercial organisation which has a statutory obligation to maximise its profit, and therefore looking after these vulnerable clients has to take second place. Oliver, please promise us that you will oppose alternative business structures. We have one chance. It's now. It's while this bill's in the House of Lords. It's got to be done, because otherwise this is the future that we face.
Well, I mean, we are very concerned about this, and it's something that, as Richard knows, our spokesman, Christopher Kingsland, has been raising in the House of Lords. Whether we can garner enough support to make the changes we want, we'll have to see. But yes, you're absolutely right, it's an important issue and one that we must continue to press on. I mean, I'm actually concerned about the other aspect.
So you will be voting against this provision in the Legal Services Bill?
Well, we've proposed amendments to it, John, so I mean, I think that the answer to that is... Well, whether we would vote against any kind of alternative business structure, I think is unlikely, but I think we would want to have alternative business structures with proper safeguards. For example, I mean, we don't want them to be run by SPIVs. There was one other point there that I wanted to make in response to what Arturo was saying, which is that if you have firms where the people who are seeing the clients are paralegals, one of the concerns is that if you have a complex set of issues with a client, that you won't necessarily pick up some of the important points which the client has, which are not just to do with one narrow specialism. And I think that is the concern. I mean, the advantage of lawyers working in law centres is that they are able to pick up the whole range of issues in a way which has been very beneficial. So that's something that we're particularly concerned about.
Thank you very much. Simon, I think we were just rummaging through your literature to check whether you could vote against this particular provision. Can you?
No, I was rummaging to check one other figure, which is that the government gave £36 billion the other day to education, and if they'd just given £1 billion of that to this department, we would have been in a different position. The answer to your question...
Let me add another quarter, which anybody who listens to Farming Today must have heard this morning, because you've all been listening before 6 o'clock in the morning. £305 million set aside for a fine for failing to pay farmers their subsidies.
That's true. I was really listening to it as I was signing my letters to the Home Office to deal with immigration cases. We are signing. The answer to the question, there's a really good opportunity to deal with the Legal Services Bill and the new structures. And what really worries me, and I don't mean to personalise this, but it has a personalised aspect to it. We are where we are because the government on this issue has Lord Carter having come up with proposals. He knew nothing about the legal service until he was Absolutely, he admitted he knew nothing about it. And the problem is the whole exercise is being driven by people who do not have any experience of dealing with this issue. Not to say you shouldn't bring in in other people to bring in the extra value and the other skills. But you have to understand the benefit of, firstly, people who are competent. And of course there's a way of valuation. Bad solicitors, there were terrible immigration practitioners and they needed regulation. We needed to get rid of some very bad people. The Law Society has been a lousy regulator of solicitors, in my view. And the Leamington Spa operation for years was hopeless, 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 hopeless. So we need a proper regulatory structure. But it doesn't mean to say that you can't have, as Southwark has, I know, a good coordinated group of solicitors and voluntary sector who share the work between them and do expertise. And in counties like Oxfordshire, Olivers like Hertfordshire, different people will have different expertise. And to replace that by a sort of Tesco or commercial union, we had it here for Southwark. Labour gave them the education department to run to some building firm, and they were bloody terrible, and they had to be sacked because they couldn't do the job. And that's the danger. You have totally insensitive, inappropriate people trying to provide a very sensitive life or death service.
I'm sort of one of those idealistic young wannabe lawyers who believes in justice for all and helping anyone through the law. And from tonight, I'm wondering whether it's all worth it, and it would be kind of the law's loss, because if there's someone like me who wants to help, who wants to do something about it, but is at the beginning of my career, I'm only doing a law conversion. I mean, you've just missed out on someone else, and I don't know, there could be other people who are just like, well, what's the point? You know?
That final point is a sad reflection of what's going on. We're losing good quality committed lawyers. They are already making the decision not to go into legal aid work, and that's a very sad thing. One thing young legal aid lawyers have asked for is for a commitment from the Legal Services Commission that there will be a commitment to training within the contracts under the preferred supplier scheme. I don't know if Karen's in a position to confirm that tonight, but that's something we've been fighting for, because it's very sad if we lose committed young lawyers.
I'm afraid we are completely out of time.